All right. Welcome, everybody. This is the Astro Round Table for Capricorn season. And that means that we are right at the right after Christmas, the day after Christmas. So we're deep in the holiday season. And for that reason, this one will be a little bit different than the last one and the first one. Everybody is busy at this time. And I also did not get a jump on advertising it very far in advance, so a little bit of that is my bad. But I don't have anybody joining live right now. Someone still could show up. It is going until 5, so if anybody comes in, I'll say hi. Otherwise, this will still be recorded and it'll be on YouTube for anybody to access and get a feel for what Capricorn's all about and what this current Capricorn season of 2025, 2026 has in store. And also want to remind everybody that this is a monthly offering that I'm doing to allow anybody to show up live and uh, have any questions about a particular sign or anything. And then at the end, questions related to anything astrological is kind of a community service once a month that will then also be freely given to the community as a community resource. So I hope that this is enjoyed over time. And I will go ahead and try and set the expectation for my Aquarius Astro Roundtable to be on Monday, January 19th around 3:33 p.m. And that is on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And that is a holiday and it works for my schedule. So each month I'll try to get as close as I can to the beginning of the current solar season. But that's where it lands on the roulette wheel of my timetable and schedule. So without further ado, let's pull up the presentation and have a time with Capricorn. All right. So Capricorn 2025-26. We will start by just looking at who Capricorn is as an energetic archetype and character, so to speak. And then a little bit about this particular season. So the first thing of note about Capricorn is it is an earth element. And all of the earth elements we can think about being related to the fields of health, money, work, and matter. Earth is very symbolic of the 3D, tangible, nuts and bolts world that we all are manifest in. It's the stuff. It's the what I can sense with my body, see, touch, smell, feel, etc. And so the health aspect is our body and how it is attuned and working in its environment is that health component. The money is related to a value system that we have in the 3D world in which the exchanges of goods and commerce and all of that works, how we get the matter and the material objects that we want from various places and trades. And then the work is the activity in the 3D world. It's what we are busily engaged in that is generating energy and moving energy, that is circulating all of these 3D things in a slow, condensed fashion over time. So Earth relates to our sense of health, our money, our work, what we do, and then all things that are matter, things, possessions, items. Like if it's 3D and you can see it, touch it, smell it, taste it, it is Earth in a sense. The modality for Capricorn then is cardinal, and the cardinal signs are all about the beginning of something. It is starting the season of winter. So Capricorn is the first sign of winter, and that's why the winter solstice is the first day of Capricorn. That is where the light is the longest or the shortest day of the year, the longest night. The darkness is at its maximum at that point. But the good news to the lore and all with Capricorn is, from that moment forward, the light is only growing again. So we're getting more and more light throughout the winter season. Um, all cardinal signs have to do with a sense of starting something, and so there's a quality of charging forward, initiating, beginning something, cracking it open, pioneering. All of these things, they are getting it started and the impetus to get going with something. And so the cardinal modality is also just a key of action. It is one of the signs, if you think about like all systems go, full thrusters ahead, that is a very cardinal sensibility that is just about moving forward and starting things with a burst of energy in a strong, focused direction. So the beginning of winter. And winter is that time of the year with Capricorn where it is where things get cold and hard. And so it is the impetus of what we're going to do to secure ourselves in the world in these cold, hard times, and how to play by the cold, hard facts of reality is a little bit of the game to Capricorn in that cardinal sense. Thinking a little bit further out, specifically the glyph and symbol for Capricorn is what we're taking a look here. The glyph you can see, I went on and looked up and found a few different variations because I would say that Capricorn is the sign that has the most variations in how you will see it spelled out, if you will, with a symbol. They have some similarities, but they also have some differences. And then it is represented by this creature in the mythology of the sea goat. And so we have that in the lore. Um, as the lore goes and the reputation of Capricorn, its glyph is mystical. It is quite an esoteric, mystical symbol, and I don't propose to know all the ins and outs of why it is and what it is. But it has many depictions, and the commonalities between these, if you look, you see there's the hard, straight, and soft curved elements. So there's a part of the beginning of the sign that's kind of jagged and pointed, and then you have this loop down here. Again, we have a point, point, and then loop, and then this one again, a little bit of that jagged, the point, and then a loop. So that is telling of me a lot about what the nature of the sea goat is. The sea goat has this pointed horn aspect on one side that is the animal that's on the land animal that's climbing, that's got the yang element to it, masculine, all of this, which is straight lines and pointed and that connotation. Whereas then the fish tail, the water aspect, sea goat, that aspect is more feminine, curved. You even see the swirl in the tail. So there's something, all of these have got a loop in the tail that almost has the glyph looking like the creature in a very loose way. And we could say like the sensibility that the stars are supposed to be the constellations that depict these creatures, but to connect the dots is a very loose interpretation with all that. That's there's a lore to the creature in those locations, I would say more so. But back to the sea goat, the the sea goat has this part that is climbing and is on the land and is surmounting obstacles and has ambition. And that's this goat part. The sea quality has this other element of dissolution, and it's kind of, it gives me a little wink at how and why there's the positive sextile relationship between Pisces and Capricorn, which I see so many things different about these signs. But we'll get to that later. But this sea tail on the sea goat is like the idea that everything that you have to climb up and achieve in life, you can't you can't get buried with it, your money and all of this to a certain degree, and you have to be willing to let it all melt back into the ocean, to let it all go. So everything we establish, as permanent as it can seem and enduring all these Capricorn qualities, there is also this sense of like a maturity that, this too shall pass and letting it go, and it doesn't hold on with that vice grip that can become the equation of like the bondage implied through the tarot card of the devil, which is very Capricorn as well, just to tie in what's coming to mind. But so this Capricorn sense of the sea goat is the ambition up the mountain and the climb, the descent back down into the oneness, and the discipline implied through the initiation of that process. So there's a lot hidden. It's not, people can often say Capricorn, oh, it's just, about worldly success and or fame and career, and like those things are in the mix. But it's a very mystical sign, and the initiations of I'd say that side are quite interesting. I think about Capricorn and Cancer, those opposites from womb to tomb, and that kind of the entrance into ensouled life through Cancer, and then we have this sense of having to achieve everything and die on the cross to ourselves and our ego that happens in Capricorn, from that position of mastery. So anyway, so there's a lot in the symbol and the creature and everything that that entails that we can definitely dive into. It'll come up around again. So in Capricorn, who are the planets that are the most equated with it? Well, we can't talk about Capricorn without talking about Saturn. That is the classic ruler. Um, it is, they go together like peas and carrots. It is about structure and discipline and ambition and rules and, all of these kind of firm qualities, very earthy as a planet as well. And so Saturn is one that really puffins us up and hardens us, suck it up, cupcake. It teaches, it's the disciplinarian of the zodiac that really, through Capricorn, can reach one to the maturity of their uh, whatever stage of mastery they're capable. It is also capable of keeping, if someone does not utilize discipline, keeping someone broken down at the bottom, very limited, inhibited, all of those qualities can come through not adhering to Saturn's test, and kind of doing well with the Capricorn stage in a process. Since Capricorn is what rules it and is at home there, the planet in the opposite sign that rules Cancer, the moon, is considered to be in detriment in Capricorn. And we can think about that in regards to the moon being that which is comfy, cozy, nurturing, feeds us, emotional, which does well in Cancer. But in Capricorn, that says suck it up, cupcake, the emotional nature of the moon in Capricorn becomes cold and hard, distant, reserved, all of these qualities that can be, it can have be a little depressing, focusing on, what's hard, what's lacking, all of those qualities become the emotional set point, more so for Moon and Capricorn. There's good and bad everywhere, it can be a very ambitious type of person. But that just Moon quality, when we think of it being fed in a wet, juicy, emotional way to be comfortable. Capricorn's cold, dry landscape and environment is not that for the moon. And so that's why we can see some emotional hardship or maybe a past story of not having enough or a past and early life of hard times or doing without limitations, restrictions, severity, etc. Can be in the early life through the parents and mother and all of those things for Moon and Capricorn with that archetypal sense of detriment. If that is those two, who's exalted in Capricorn? Who's like the best friend's house? Mars. Mars gets along really well in Capricorn. Mars is a firecracker. It's the thruster. It's going forward. It's almost like a cardinal planet. It's going, starting stuff, pioneering, all of that. He rules Aries, but up here in Capricorn, it really gives that kind of slowness that we equate. Saturn, Capricorn is about slow, steady climbing, processes that take time and endurance. And Mars keeps the firepower charging up the mountain, up the mountain. There's a lot of stamina. And so it gives the charge, the desire, the passion, the initiative to pass those tests, to accept that discipline. Sometimes Mars, we might have a sometime where we're too impulsive or we break something from going too fast or we miss a beat. But the idea of like getting back up and trying again and learning from that mistake is very ambitious for Mars and Capricorn also. So even though, Mars can inflame and have its own issues wherever it is, Mars is exalted in that Capricorn landscape of keeping everything that is gradually moving up towards mastery on the go. It doesn't stay steady or rest on its laurels when Mars is there. The planet then that is in a fall in Capricorn would be Jupiter, since Jupiter is exalted in the opposite in Cancer. So in Capricorn, Jupiter's fall speaks to things about this. Imagine how Jupiter's nature is about saying yes and widening the scope and making things bigger and easier. Saturn's realm of Capricorn is very much about sticking to the rules and the facts and doing an impeccable job moving up. And so sometimes what happens with Jupiter in a Capricorn landscape is being a little lazy. It's not Venus, and Venus is actually, we'll see, is the hierarchical ruler. So it's not that kind of lazy, but it's the sense of being too open or it's too open with things that require more discipline. Capricorn and the hard work and the severity and the structure of what you accomplish in that realm. Jupiter is still Jupiter. It's going to bless it. It'll have a certain ease and grace, and things will tend to be okay, but it's not necessarily going to reach the same mountaintop that Saturn would climb to. Jupiter is okay with things being okay enough. So it doesn't have to have Capricorn, things mastered to the extent that Saturn's disciplinarian might master it or optimally have available. Jupiter then is a little bit more at ease with the looseness there. It's also having a little bit of looseness to the law. Favorably, it can imply that the law plays loosely and beneficially with oneself. Um, However, when one is sticking to the rules that are going to lead to success, Jupiter might be more prone to have an expanded allowance and attitude that's like, that's good enough. We don't have to do it. If it says we need to do it 5 times a day, we do it three, that's okay. And so you'll still get the results and the success, but it's got the openness. It could also have a sense, thinking about Jupiter and its expansion and abundance in Capricorn, having almost an opposite effect of too much and perhaps in an area that's not where the rubber meets the road and something really matters. So we can have that idea of opulence or abundance that comes through in a sense of excess, that also is not in alignment with the strict, strident discipline and schedule and structure of what the 3D realm of Saturn and Earth and Capricorn, all of these things entail in that land. Hence Jupiter's fall there. If we start to think about Capricorn more esoterically as a soul process of initiation and mastery, more than just, being at the head of society and being a boss in your career and all those things about it, but in a soul sense, through the esoteric lens, Saturn again is ruling. So there's a spiritual sense and a mundane sense of Saturn that is at home in Capricorn. And then this esoteric layer, the mastery is a sense of soul mastery. It's a sense of spiritual mastery. It's a sense of having impeccable craftsmanship in order to do things and manage and navigate as an authority in the 3D world in a society. And it's like you're not crazy at the table of society. You have a sense of established foundation and mastery and can play by all the rules and laws of that system. But there's also a sense of that mastery transcending that and being firm on the soul level. The esoteric represents that soul level. It's also going to have a sense of that surrender that we talked about more so with the sea, the sea aspect of the sea goat, the fishtail, of letting things go. It's that quiet poison mastery that's not so pushing and ambitious, but more of a slow, steady holding that space, is how Saturn kind of shifts from one sense of being power hungry and ambitious and trying to eat its young, that Saturn sense of always climbing, always more, always, all of that. Saturn in an esoteric sense is like a calm, still, steady point that is like slowly crystallizing into more refinement, but representing the values of authority in a calm, quiet, surrendered respect in some way. So it's a higher elevated aspect of mastery, of authority, all of those things that are Saturn, all of those things that are in Capricorn. The last one is kind of fun for me to elaborate on because the hierarchical ruler of Capricorn is a planet that we wouldn't typically think of in Capricorn as in any regard, especially I don't think so. It's kind of hidden in a way. Venus. Venus is the hierarchical ruler. And Venus, we think about how she rules Taurus as the material girl there. There is an earthy sensual nature, although that's more so enjoyed um in Taurus. So what is Venus doing as this high, very spiritually lofty sense of refinement for Capricorn herself? So it is the sense of love. Venus is this sense of value, love, attraction, beauty, fairness, all of these harmonic, loving qualities that unify. And there is a sense that at the highest point, which Capricorn represents, the highest point of the mountain, it's the 10th sign. So number 10 is, the one and the zero, mastery, back to the next stage of self. All of these things, the hard work and the discipline and the way that Saturn and Capricorn in this realm is used to being like an authority and a taskmaster and a disciplinarian. Venus is this reminder that at the height, love is the law. And there's that, I always kind of like to reference that Aleister Crowley book of the law because it says, you know, basically the law, do as thou will shall be the whole of the law, saying whatever you want to do, whatever willpower does, that's what you can do. But it then says love is the law, love under will. And it's the idea that love is the foundation for all of our willpower, is what creates um, the best creation, so to speak, because you can do whatever you want, but sometimes what echoes back may not be to your liking. But when love is the law, everything that echoes and reverberates back tends to have that love in it. And at the height, all of the law and the limitations and restrictions and containments and disciplines and hardships and challenges and obstacles and things that we think of for Capricorn and Saturn are done for us in love. People often say, why is this happening to me? And you have to reframe the picture and understand is why is it happening for me? And Venus is the reminder of the love in the law, the beauty in the dissonance, all the hardships and the challenges, that sense of ambition and the reason why, the why and the motive and the climb in the mountain has love as its highest subtle layer that is working its way through. And so that is why Venus is the hierarchical ruler. So those planets are the playful companions in that 10th sign of Capricorn, which represents and reflects the 10th house. So if we start at Aries, number one, it's always number one. You circle around two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10. You got Capricorn at the top. And that cusp of Capricorn is called the midhaven, and that represents a lot of the classic Capricorn features of our reputation and our career and vocation and what we're doing out in the world, out in society, etc., which is what the 10th house is about. It's also worth reminding that the that hence the number 10 is a one and a zero. And so that is a sense of completion. That is if the one is the independence and a sense of self, the 10, you add a one and a zero, and that is still independence and a sense of self. And so that is, say, it's the culmination or the completion of man is that which happens at the 10th sign in the 10th domain. And that's the 11th and the 12th sign, which we'll get to in their time, represent these transpersonal zones, these beyond the self. They really bring in more of the community and the collective. Although Capricorn does that, Capricorn stands at the top. It wants to be at the top of society, the top of its career, the top of its field. It's all those top boss position connotations. So 10th house more specifically is our career. It's our reputation. It's what people in the world, how we're known for the work that we do or the reputation it has. Our societal standing, um, fame. So that fame factor, how well you're known, your societal recognition, is all there. And it's traditionally established authority. It's how we establish our authority and what that looked like, what flavor and brands and all of that it has in the world. And it also is an area of a chart, the 10th house. It will tell us about those people and characters and forces that act as authorities and establishments that we must answer to in the world that have that ruling, the rulership. Um, 10th house can be a place that we look at for profession. What kind of profession someone has, profession, vocation, calling, all of that. Like what's calling you out in the world, your worldly goals. What do you want to accomplish? Often we'll think about opposite down here at the cusp of the Cancer house and the IC is the roots. So it's we're rooted to the past and our ancestry and our all of that. So the Capricorn house and the 10th is our branches. What do you want to branch up out into? What is the mastery, the top point of your lifetime is up there. And that's also equated to, I guess, our karmic dharma, our work. What are you trying to fulfill or bloom? What are you trying to have bloom out in the world? How do you want to be known by your reputation? Uh, Capricorn's area with the structure and adherence and Saturnian qualities represents the letter of the law. It's the exactitude. It's what it means. It's where the rubber meets the road. It's how it adds up. It's how it calculates the definite, certain qualities of the letter of the law, which are different from like when we were talking like this whole zone of um, between the two. You have the letter of the law in Capricorn. Sagittarius was more like the spirit of the law. It's what does it mean? What are we trying to accomplish? What is the law there for? So sometimes, if we need to bend the letter or like understand extenuating circumstances, we do that for the spirit of the law so that we accomplish what it meant, what we were trying to do. Whereas the letter of the law and all the lawyering and all that can be very exacting. And like, if it says that you can do it that way, even if that's not what's best, and somebody can still use that letter of the law in more of a concrete way to uh, make something happen that might not even be in what the spirit of the law was intending. That's the difference in Capricorn is the letter, the exactitude, the structure, the form of the law. It is weighty achievements to be attained by hard work. So that Capricorn house, what's in it, the planets, all of that, they embody that sense of achievement and ambition we have that requires a lot of hard work. They don't come easy, but it matters a lot. That brand of energy is what we're constantly plotting at to do better and more, stronger, to fortify and endurance, all of that. And then characters that will often be represented are our father. Sometimes we could say the mother, the womb to tomb of Cancer and Capricorn, mother and father. Um, Archetypally, I see the hard qualities of Capricorn and the soft domestic inner of mother down in Cancer, but it can be flip-flop. Um, but it's a boss, it's an authority, it's someone above us, it's someone ahead of us, is all of those qualities. The head of the household, in a sense, the father, the boss, is all represented in that 10th house, Capricorn. Then a little keyword soup for anything else that we haven't splashed out there enough with Capricorn. All these words, just saying Capricorn. If something is hard, heavy, talking about hashtag goals, ambition, achieve, attain, all of that, make it happen. Initiate. That means, to start something, and to be an initiate, to be initiated, all of that. There's a lot that's Capricorn. To rule over others, the rule. What rule are you following? The word rule, is very Capricorn. Boss, authority, and law. So all of those have a Capricorn flavor and archetype just to those words. There's something about Capricorn that is sewn up in the concept of persisting towards surmounting something challenging and maturing into recognized mastery with such. The Capricorn journey is often about something that in early stance we are insecure about, we are not good at it, it is hard, it is heavy, but we persist. And we want to climb the mountain, achieve the aim, overcome the obstacle. So we surmount the mountain of whatever that hard thing is with our enduring persistence. And through the long game of effort over time, hard work, we mature and that maturity into a master. And we're recognized because we've done it so much and we care so much, we do it well consistently over time, and others see that in our craftsmanship, in our work, in our experience, in our legacy, whatever we show. Has that mastery in it. Then I tried to think a little bit about the orientation to time that we can find with our signs. And so building upon the mistakes and successes of the past is one of the key features. And it's actually the one I highlighted. I felt like most pull in Capricorn, there's a lot to the past. Um, and I think it can have to do with because we're building on a foundation. And in some ways, Cancer is that foundation. In some ways, Cap or this previous sign, Sagittarius is that foundation. But foundation is whatever came before. And we build upon that. And that means that if we're successful, cool, we pass that test, we know we can do it 78% well. We're building on that to do it 85% well. And so that's building on a success. We also are building on our mistakes. If we fall down, we see where we fell, why we fell, what happened, and we do things different again. So this gradual building is all based on the past. And Saturn is very held by the past. There's a lot of weight and solid, all these crystallizations, solidifications from that which has adhered from the past that we are building on and from. And so that weight and that anchor is also related to our past and what we have brought with us. So past really feels like the orientation of Capricorn. As far as the present goes, work hard to stay ahead in the present. Capricorn is not one to rest on its laurels at all. It's, even when it does a good job, it's the one that says, um, similar to Virgos, why they go, yeah, and why they get along, it'll say, yeah, but we could do better. And so there's always a sense of not being like, I achieved this and now I can sit back. It's like, I have to continue to stay on top. I have to, keep everything up to date. So it is staying on top of things in the present. And then as far as future, the most future word is like ambition, the ambition of wanting to achieve something, that next goal, that next step, gradually, graduation up the mountain, is the future orientation. We're climbing towards being the best, achieving the best, getting the best, all of that in the future. So that's how we're eating forward. Keyword Capricorn soup for everybody's delight. All right, let's talk about the relationships of the characters around the table with Capricorn as our star, which means we're going to start opposite the table because opposite signs complement one another. They are not at ends or fighting, even though there's a lot different. They actually are married. The father energy of Capricorn is married to the mother energy of um, Cancer, and they are that parental axis of security in a lot of ways. So Capricorn, that cardinal earth, Cancer you see is cardinal water. They both like to start things, but Capricorn is doing it from an earthy place of like, what's the objective? What are we trying to do? What's the goal? What are we trying to figure out? Whereas Cancer is the subjective, starting it from what feels good, what's going to make things feel better, what's going to make me more comfortable. So we're starting and initiating actions, but from different resulting angles. And so looking at the opposites that complement, we have objective and subjective, just the facts and then just the feelings, what it means to me versus what it is in the world. We have a sense of being tough and hard in Capricorn, soft and sensitive. Cancer is like the emotional sponge of the zodiac. It's sensitive to the environment. Capricorn is the outer world, the outer society, outer existence. And Cancer is our inner world, our home and inner domestic world, but it's our inner emotional landscape. So, tough outer shell and then the soft inner core. We already said Capricorn is that father, authority, discipline, hard, etc. Mother, nurturing, soft, all those. The Capricorn energy is the career and the profession in the same way that Cancer is the home and the family. And so they complement, your home life and your inside and your outside life. And then we have the public domain of Capricorn, how the world sees us, your reputation, and then your domestic domain, that is, your inner world, what you mean to the people who know you close that, not everybody knows. So we have a lot of opposites that are holding hands because they're both two sides to one equation, which is that security out in the world publicly through our career and our status and our reputation, and security inside, inner world with those that we care about and feeling safe and at home and comfortable. So Capricorn, we have the impetus to secure societal standing of enduring prestige out among the world. Whereas in Cancer, it's the impetus to secure familial and familiar foundations of comfortable nurturance in one's home. It is the security of our inner world and the security of our outer world. And it's how we take action to secure those things. Both of these signs are actively engaged in padding their nest. Although for Cancer, it's an inner nest, and Capricorn, it's your resume and your career. And they are both elements. Earth and water are yin or passive, and we can think about the why to that because if you have like a rock or an object on a table, generally it's going to sit there and it's not animated. A water as a substance, if I pour it in a glass, it's going to fill that glass and it's going to sit there and it's not going to flicker about or jump around. So both of these elements kind of fill the space that's theirs and then exist. They have a sense of, taking up space and existing and all of that, but not necessarily active. So these cardinal, they are active in that cardinal sense, though. And that is the part that will take action, but it's taking action to stabilize something, to calm it down, to steady it. Um, Cancer will take action to steady its home and make it more comfortable and cozy. And Capricorn will take action to make sure that its position is secure, that it's gotten the promotion, it's secured a stable worldly position. So it's about stabilization in that yin and passive regard. Let's see. Then if we look around the neighbors in the process of 9, 10, and 11. So Capricorn would be our 10. That means it's got Sagittarius is 9 right before, and it's going to go right into 11 with Aquarius. So let's think about how this is a process works. Well, previously in Sagittarius, was mutable fire. There's changing and flickering and passionate all that had risen from the boiling out before. We had a boiling process in Scorpio. The quest of life branches out with new desire, and all this aim to learn, teach, grow, enjoying travel that opens other opportunities for fulfillment while aiming toward a worthy cause with all the experience and savviness developed through prior dealings. It's the path of the aspirant who's aiming with single-mindedness towards a noble goal. So Sagittarius is very much the fire that is kickstarting us toward a goal, and it's this adventure, this sense of adventure and exploration that is putting things together and what it will mean the most. How can I take all of these different passions and pull them together into one aim? And that aim is what we're impassioned by. That then Capricorn is that next cardinal or step where we start to do the work. Whatever we aspired to do, Capricorn is the actual hard work, the tangible 3D nuts and bolts steps. So, with some monumental mountain found to climb, we've got a goal, we know where we want to get to the top. The hard work and discipline of starting from the bottom and scaling toward the top ensues, where the cold, hard facts of reality must be surmounted with endurance in order to achieve attainment and mastery of the goal. So, whatever we got excited about and are aiming our arrows upward towards from Sagittarius at 9, at 10, we are actually putting in the work. We're doing the effort. We're making it happen with discipline. And if we talked about this word up here with Sagittarius, aspirant, Capricorn, it is worth with the discipline to think about Capricorn is where you become a disciple. You are disciplined to follow a structure to achieve and attain a certain goal and position. So that disciple energy of discipline also is what will eventually culminate when you get to the top and you are an initiate. You are in it. You have gotten to the top. You have achieved, attained, whatever it is. That is also in Capricorn. So we have the disciple and the initiate that is represented in Capricorn attaining that goal. After you've gotten to the top of the mountain and you've achieved the goal, where is there to go? You go to number 11, which is Aquarius land, which is fixed air. So we're going into it's another wintry zone, the icy air, fixed frozen mass of air full of all of these unique ideas frozen over, electric and frozen. So an Aquarius at that 11th stage of a process from a position at the top of one's personal attainment, you got to the top of the mountain, you did Capricorn, you have innovative ideas for collective elevation that are sparked into connected collaboration through a bigger network of other progressive humanitarians. So you're at the top. You've got that. And guess what? At the top of the mountain, your reception to some pretty far out, high and mighty ideas um, gets the innovative juices going. Aquarius is very innovative, inventive, new ideas, fresh, unconventional, eclectic, unique, all of that. And there's a focus about how can we bring everybody up? It's so great at the top of the mountain. How can we bring everybody up the elevator a notch? How do we elevate everyone, the collective, the all? So we're sparking ideas and inventions and ahas in that direction. And we are connecting and collaborating with other people at the top of their game, other masters, other bosses. So we have a wider network of humanitarians that are all working for that elevation. And so you're circulating the circuitry of new electric ideas in Aquarius, and it is elevating and circuiting that sense of elevation to more places. So these inventive new techniques are experimented with, trying new things out to circulate new approaches for advanced liberation from old worn out problems. So it's like whatever we saw was really hard to do to climb this mountain, how can we make it easier for everybody to get to the top of the mountain with some new ideas, some new techniques, some new technology that would free up our time, free up our space, free up our energy, free energy, um, free liberation. It's a sense of liberating from old, worn out problems and things that have held us down. That's what Aquarius is about, is number 11. So we see that each one of these is a stage in a process. And so Capricorn understands that Sagittarius is giving it the passion and the direction of what kind of goal it wants to do. And then it gets to work making it happen, getting to the top of that. And Capricorn understands that after it gets to the top, it does the best job it can do. It's going to be circuiting that with other people. It's got to plug into a group, an organization, a collective, and elevate and see if it can make a bigger difference and have a bigger impact in that way. So it's a stage in the process. There's nothing in common with neighbors. Cardinal Earth, it's not mutable, it's not fixed, and it's not fire, and it's not air. So it's not like Sag or Aquarius at all. Nothing in common other than the familiar proximity and a recognition of the relationship of what's coming up and what's been. So Capricorn might say, I'm really not like Sag and I'm really not like Aquarius, but it realizes that Sagittarius hands the ball off to it and it will be handing the ball, the sun, the energy off to Aquarius in any process that continues to cycle around a wheel. Next, relationships, because everybody talks to everybody, and we have these awkward quincunxes, also called inconjuncts, to Gemini and Leo from Capricorn. So Capricorn was across the table from Cancer, which we talked about. To the left and right, Gemini and Leo are inconjunct or quincunx to Capricorn, which means they're at a funky seesaw angle that doesn't see each other well a lot, often talk much, and they don't have anything in common, just like the neighbors. However, at least the neighbors, you see them all the time. They're right next to you. These quincunx, you don't even see them. They're easy to forget about and like not really sure what to do with them because they are in the way that Capricorn is cardinal earth, Gemini is mutable air, and Leo is fixed fire. Forgive that typo. And so there's something about these two signs that are kind of awkward. However, I say how they complete a yod. If we had a chart that had just a planet in Capricorn talking to a planet in Gemini, one of these would be a quincunx or an inconjunct. But if you have a planet in Capricorn doing a quincunx interaction to something in Gemini and something in Leo, those two planets are going to be basically sextile together, which is a favorable foundation. And that makes the Capricorn planet this apex that is like a release point. And the configuration is then a triangle called a yod, where the release point is pointing to a planet that is kind of an opening and an apex, again, kind of culminating from a base or a foundation of those two signs. Same way you can think about an opposite sign. If you had an opposition, it's like culminating on that other planet. You have a pair in a sextile that is creating the culmination in a quincunx. So Capricorn as this release point. What is Capricorn about in doing? It's a release point that's about endurance, persistence, and discipline towards the goal to achieve attainment. It's the sense of solidarity to get stuff done and make stuff happening. It's gradually crystallizing into formation, like slowly but surely getting there. And each time I get closer, it's harder to knock me down or crack me open, ever climbing towards higher authority and accomplished mastery. So always going up, always getting more. Um, Capricorn's form of taking in, or what is it loving, is worldly advancement and recognized status of success. That's why it does it. So it can take that in. It wants to achieve that advancement, get the success, the fame, be seen as a master. And so it has all this endurance, persistent discipline, goal achievement. Okay. How does it work with these guys? We've got to think about Gemini and Leo as a pair that sets a foundation because on their own, Gemini is about versatility, which is changing back and forth, variety, all the buffet, knowing all of the roads. Gemini knows how to get around the town because it knows all the back trails and it knows how all the maneuvers and navigations work. It's great at communication. It's communicative. It can talk to anyone. It's all different types of language and code switching and all of that. It's advertising. It's media, it's the word of mouth, it's sales, it's adaptability. Can you see a little in how the versatility, Gemini is changing, and Capricorn is going to stick with something. They're not speaking the same language. Gemini taking in, it's about opening a multitude of new pathways for learning and sharing new information. Gemini just loves to learn and have more things, more different ways to go, more versatility. So that's what really makes it at home. Whereas Capricorn wants to get to the top and succeed. And so if it's always changing, it doesn't vibe. But if you look at all of those Gemini things, having a good communication, advertising, sales, word of mouth, that could really help support your advancement. All right, let's look at Leo. Leo's fixed fire, a big fireball that's just full of itself, very central. It's about our specialized talent. Maybe you can sing, you can dance, or something you're really good at. It's your creativity, something you do really unique. Your showmanship, you don't mind being in the spotlight, being seen, showing off. So it's visibility, it's being seen, boldness, standing out, and that personal charisma of your personality in the mix. It's what makes you special. So all of that sense of me, has a central focus on ourselves that just in general with Capricorn wants to get it done. Whatever the task is, the thing is, it got it done. It did it the best, it did it first. Um, Leo wants you to look at me and see how I'm the one doing it. So it's about the attention on me for doing it. Capricorn wants the recognition for having done it. I already did it. I mastered it. I did it the best. So there's a little bit off about these two. Leo is taking in really is the generously offering beloved passion that it does. It loves to offer itself and show its passion in exchange for and for that more radiant reception, enlivenment, and appreciation. It likes to show off so that everybody claps, so that then it wants to do more and everybody goes wild and then it shows off more. And so it's enlivening. It's this generous feeding of energy where the Leo shows off and shows its talent and specialty and creativity, and the environment soaks it up and is enlivened and glows and radiates. And so it continues that enlivenment and glow that feels good and radiant and passionate and fiery. Um, but it doesn't necessarily, it feels good and the Leo's getting all the attention, but is it the best? And then is it, by the standard and, all of these discipline measured structure? It's not exactly Capricorn. But the same way we can see Capricorn is not exactly speaking Gemini language, not exactly speaking Leo language. If you have them all talking, the Leo and the Gemini, the versatility, being able to talk any which way and being able to show off and be seen and have something I'm really excited and passionate about, that foundation really helps with the endurance and the persistence and the discipline that I want to do it the best. I want to get to the top because I love it and it's fun and it feels good. And it's something that is got a lot of moving parts. It's got a lot of things that can be communicated, navigated, and that all of those things can be used as part of advancing that goal and attaining it. So there's a collaboration that these three can make, even though Capricorn does not speak the same language as either one in that singular relationship. So Gemini and Leo can be a supportive base for Capricorn's goals to be achieved. This one a little bit easier. The easy allies of Scorpio and Pisces. If Capricorn's right here, two doors down, you got Scorpio. Two doors down over here, you got Pisces. Water and earth get along because they are both passive elements. Where you talked about earth sits on the table and takes up solid space. Water fills the vessel and goes to rest. So we have a sense here they are, even though they're cardinal, fixed, and mutable, water is compatible with earth. So Capricorn has that persistent climb towards graduation, overcoming obstacles, enduring through setbacks to achieve mastery and timeless success in societal fame and remembrance. All these Capricorn get aheads, endure qualities. Scorpio is a good handshake for that because Scorpio has finesse with investments, how to see what other people have and what they can share in exchange. And so it deals with the business of interpersonal relationships. If Capricorn wants to get to the top of its mountain, it doesn't hurt to rub elbows with the right people on the way up. That's what Scorpio helps with, playing well with whatever motive is active for empowerment. So Scorpio is good at seeing who's got the right things, the right connections, the right resources that we can communicate and make a deal with and exchange in order to help advance our goal. That's a power couple situation quite often to have Scorpio and Capricorn energies working together. Pisces. Pisces is one that was a little bit harder to articulate at first because we think about Capricorn being so together and ambitious and charging forward, and Pisces can be like the dreamer or the artist and a little bit just like go with the flow or maybe a little bit lost and unclear. But what they have and how they hold hands relates to how Pisces is the transcendental release that softens the suffering from any unavoidable burdens, refining a better vision from any cold, hard reality's existence. So much of that transpersonal job of Pisces is the last sign is about letting go and surrendering all the things that we cannot control, all the things that we do not understand. So it's that release that transcends understanding that helps us to deal with suffering and sorrow and painful experiences where we think things are not fair, beautiful, or righteous in some way. And Capricorn, from climbing the mountain and stubbing its toe quite a bit, does know about obstacles and hardships and challenges and setbacks. And so it's akin to all of that. And it can really empathize with those who have been less fortunate, those who have experienced misfortune. And it creates a charitable collaboration between Pisces as a philanthropic, charitable sense of energy, with that Capricorn sense of authority and poise. That also, again, it reminds us back about the fishtail sea aspect of the sea goat of Capricorn, where that true mastery and that strengthening is in that quiet, soft surrender and the sense of being, letting go and realizing what we have to let go of is wrapped up in that part of Capricorn that Pisces helps with. So Pisces brings that softness, and that uh, idealism to Capricorn, and Capricorn brings a lot of a little bit of security and a little bit of structure and a little bit of containment for the Pisces energy. So they do have a good handshake. Stimulating areas. So Capricorn is going to be square to Aries and Libra. And square relationships are of the nature of Mars. They're very stimulated. They notice each other immediately. But they really want to do things in a different way. Because they're all cardinal. They all want to start some mess. They all want to get something going. But unlike Cancer, who's complementary, who's actually like, hey, we're both concerned with two sides of security. Let's get together and marry this. The square energies want to do things their ways, and they can kind of knock against one another and kind of keep things stimulated, but not really resting. Capricorn, again, why does it want to do stuff? Strong drive to initiate action based on that which is practical for achieving worldly success, status, and lasting benefits of a traditional nature recognized as desirable to society. We want to do it to show everyone that we're the best at doing it. So it's that sense of practicality, worldly success, recognition by society. That's driving the take action of Capricorn. Aries cardinal fire has a strong drive to initiate action based on raw instinct and visceral desire. I just feel like it. I just want to do it. Fostering one's core identity with qualities of strength, independence, vitality, and vigor, where the achievements are chiefly personal. Aries doesn't care if you saw them do it or care about the recognition or what its reputation. It got to do it. It knows that it did it and it did it for itself. So it's that sense of personal fulfillment that Aries does it to feel alive, to take the action, to experience it as a sense of self is what Aries does, regardless of how long the notoriety lasts, like Capricorn's after. And then Libra, as a cardinal air sign, is very concerned with the social and intellectual sphere of things. It has a strong drive to initiate action based on social attractions of value with regards to enhancing cooperation, companionship, beauty, justice, truth, harmony, fairness, and diplomacy. That's what matters to Libra. Libra is going to get stuff started and initiate often relationships because it sees something attractive, beautiful, pleasant, of value that would really add to its world in some way, making things more pleasant, more fun, more social, more refined, more sophisticated. Libra is taking action to add that harmony to its world. And so it's looking to initiate situations and in relationships that will grow cooperation, companionship, community, all of those things of bringing things together, balancing, making it pleasant and fair. It's about the social niceties and equity. So that's what Libra is not necessarily trying to climb the mountain, it's trying to smooth the field. And so that's what inspires it to take action. Different impetus, but they all take action. So if they were all trying to decide how and what to do and why, they'd butt heads a little bit because they'd all be very determined to start things, but very different motive is why these signs are square. And the final relationship's the easiest of all, the Earth buddies, the elemental Earth buddies, Taurus and Virgo are both Earth like Capricorn, which means they are speaking that same earthy language that in general is all about everything staying practical, stable, grounded, dependable, reserved, conservative, solid, and cool and dry. Keep it cool, nice and dry, just the facts, man. All of that is what our Earth buddies like. Capricorn, practical action It's a cardinal action, practical action. So we're taking action because it's going to yield a result that we're looking for. It's going to achieve a goal. It's going to attain satisfaction. So it's the executive steps necessary to build or achieve something that are taken to get it accomplished. And then whatever challenges are encountered are met until surmounted. So what do we got to do to get around that, get over that, get that done? Practical action. Taurus, fixed earth, practicals earth, and things that are fixed relate to our senses of security. What's practical security then? It's that what do I need to make sure I'm sustained, I'm safe, I've got enough. It's often in the form of money. My practical security, if you got enough in the bank account, if you got enough food in the cupboard, that's practical security. 3D, nuts and bolts, sustaining things. So it's that which one finds of value is developed and accumulated. So whatever skill it is, you're going to develop that skill to earn money. You're going to, whatever, you're developing and accumulating that which you need, and you hold in reserve as a savings account to ensure dependable self-sustainability. You secure the practical resources that sustain you comfortably, happily, fulfilled, fed, all of that. Virgo, mutable earth. Earth, practical, and the mutable all involves a learning toggling in the process. So we have practical learning. So Virgo is the sign that's all about how do we learn how to do things better, how to improve our process, how to, make sure we get a better yield. If I did this with the green beans last year, maybe if I do this with them next year, I'll have more. It's how to increase the efficiency of whatever we're doing in a practical way. So as the odds and ends to a process or a product are explored, what makes it work, adjustments are made to improve the efficiency of how something works for its optimized utilization. How do we use things to the best of their capacity? Optimization. So improving things in a practical matter way. So we're taking action toward a goal. We're making sure we're secure with all the stuff we need, and we're learning to do things better, all in a 3D nuts and bolts grounded capacity. That brings us to this particular Capricorn season, which is kicking off on our solstice, December 21st, 2025. And it was about 10:04 a.m. where we got 000. The sun went right into Capricorn then. This is coming right after the end of Sagittarius season, obviously, because it was 29:59. And so those final moments that we're seeing are the square to Neptune with Saturn square present and lingering. So we have basically the sun, Mars, and Venus are all passing through the zone where they have been squaring Saturn and Neptune. And we talked about this a little bit with that Sag, but it's the idea of that which we are aiming ahead for, what we're trying to do in the future. And now that it's into Capricorn, it's starting to get into what kind of new, fresh opening steps are we making towards these goals and what we want to achieve, and how are we feeling like some things that we don't understand may be blocking us. There could be nebulous uncertainties, confusions blocking us, and maybe also a little bit of lack of clarity. That's what we're getting with the Saturn and the Neptune. So these energies related to our desires and who we are and where we're aiming forward have been really charged up against our sense of what is our ambition and what is our calling, and is it on the right page, the right time, all of these things. We've been battling that Sag Pisces energy, that is it's creeping into Capricorn Pisces, although the nature of those two is not a natural square. It's more of a sextile, but it's still creating a square because it's still around 90 degrees. But we're squaring off with that theme of what we're aspiring for in the future and what we're letting go or what we have to surrender to get there. And it's carrying over to Capricorn slightly. The plans of being on or off again, we're going to do it, we're not going to do it, or things seeming blocked or hard as far as getting the momentum going. At the beginning here, we also see Venus quincunx Uranus. And so she's starting to have an awkward conversation with Uranus that can be a little bit of just, it's like adding a dash of electricity to the relationships that's like kind of quirky, because we're fairly open-minded with our values in Sagittarius, and adventuresome and explorative. But maybe there's something that's like we or someone else has an extremely odd or unusual taste about something, or the timing is very curious and sporadic or erratic. But there's something that could just be some surprise adjustments between ourselves and other people in our world, the others that we relate to. And it could also represent maybe some surprise reversals or changes or expenditures with money that are like small little hiccups that are curious. That's in that mix at the beginning. Um, the big news, Sun wedged as the midpoint of Venus and Mars. Hopefully you can tell that with 26 degrees Venus, you go four forward and you get to zero at the Sun, and then you go about four forward, and then we're at Mars. Sun is the middle. This is starting off Capricorn season. Our identity is like literally a fused balance between um, that which is attractive to us, that we hope to draw in, and that which we want to go and get, our desire nature. And so we're really getting clear about who we are and what our goals are and what we want to achieve, what the desires are with that, and how those goals and our identity and that sense of what we want to achieve, how it involves other people and a partner and collaborators, but other people. Venus and Mars are going to get us into the other people and us department, and the Sun is very much our sense of identity. And so that is the main story as this season starts out, and as we see, it's how it's going to continue because we have a fairly permanent sextile trine with the Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. So let's go ahead and look at those once because they're not going anywhere, folks. We have Pluto hanging out at the beginning of Aquarius. We have Neptune and Saturn hanging out at the end of Pisces, but close enough to be sextile over there. And we have Uranus at the end of um, Taurus, but also close enough to be trine to that Pluto there. And then we have Jupiter over here at the end of Cancer, sextile both of those, and starting to get towards, he's at the very beginning, very loose opposition to Pluto. But these strong blue lines here are going to be around for the whole season, for a while. These planets are all singing together. So Jupiter is really in tune with um, the expansion and the contraction feature of life are in tune, favorably fluxing. The idea of opening and spontaneity and unusualness is very in harmony with all of it, as is this sense of excavating the depths. So this is just like one, two, three, four, five, the five bass notes of the music of the spheres, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, are all singing together in a fairly cooperative kind of harmony that is supportive. So all of their qualities are kind of in the background, supportive, while the more immediate story is going to get told by the more immediate planets that are all hanging out here, many of which going into Capricorn. So as the story continues into week two, this takes us to about December 28th, which is a couple days from now after Christmas. I want you to see that we're basically this Capricorn season tracking Venus, Sun, and Mars. Venus is now at 5 degrees Capricorn, Sun is at 7, Mars is at 10. Sun is still the midpoint and it's closing in. There's less distance between the three planets, and they're all wedged together in Capricorn. Just everything I just said in that last frame about how our identity is related to our desires and goals and the relationships, and we're just take it and magnify it. That is what this season is doing as we deepen our Capricorn. We are really getting into a sense of where are we going? What are our goals? What do we want to achieve and attain? And how are we going about getting there? And what do we value? And who are we doing it with? Who are we relating well with? Who are we partnering well with for similar goals and aspirations? This is highlighting. If you think about the sun as a spotlight, the big spotlight in the sky is focused on our desire nature through Mars and Venus. Is through what are we going to do and how are we getting it? And how are we being pleasing and attractive and pulling it in? That's the story. Mercury is still strolling through Sagittarius now, so our mind, we're going to be very ambitious or like fiery and impassioned about learning things and expanding our scope and looking outside the box and all of those more open-minded things. Well, we're very serious about our actions and how we're doing things. We've got an open-minded approach to our thought process that is now starting, it's going through its own square. So it's starting to challenge all these forward-thinking ideas are having to meet with the challenges and the murkiness of Saturn and Neptune. What do we have to let go of? What's not quite that clear? But we have that forward thinking while we're starting to really settle into what are our values that we're building with all of those Capricorn planets. Week 3 takes us to January 4th, right after the new year. Venus is 13, Sun is 14, Mars is 15. Can y'all believe that a whole nother week will go by and this combo is just tightening? Venus, Mars, with the sun in the middle, is just tightening around the sun. So this theme is just getting tighter. We're going to get more close up about our relationships and what our values, what our desires, what our ambitions are, and who else is working towards climbing the same mountain. The other fun fact is that this tightening is starting to oppose Jupiter. Jupiter is down here at 20, and we got 13, 14, 15. We're getting close. It's opposing. It's starting to oppose that, which means it's like a full moon. Three planets, the two relationship kids, Venus and Mars, which are conjunct 13 to 15, that is a sexy time. That is a relationship time. That is all about, this is a focus on relationships. The spotlight is on a fused Venus Mars. Our relationships are going to have a spotlight on them. What's the purpose of them? What's the goal? Where are they going? What are we trying to achieve with our relationships? That is going to be on center stage. And we should see in some way that the relationships, when they're founded with integrity, will act as a culminating feature of truth, abundance, good fortune, expansion, growth, because we have a full moon type of energy happening. And actually, on this particular day, let's say it's January 4th, I wouldn't be surprised if it was probably January 3rd, the moon. On January 3rd, the moon will cross over Jupiter and trigger this with an extra planet, which the third might be a little bit louder than the fourth, to be honest. I just kind of went a week to week. But I think the third would be a little bit louder date because the moon will be personally, emotionally activating these themes of what do I feel satisfied about and where am I going? What are my long range plans? And how is that building practically with towards my desires and values with the people that matter? Relationships are central stage in the spotlight, culminating in a big way for our forward goals and growth with Jupiter all throughout this Capricorn season. We're in week 3 of it as this is at. We also see now at this point, Mercury has gone into Capricorn, so our mind is going to be a little bit more settled. We've passed through the hardships and the refinement of Neptune, the blocked and fuzzy energies. So now our mind is starting to be like more methodical, more calculated, more sticking to the structure, sticking to the plan of what we've determined we want to achieve with these relationships and goals and desires and growth for how we're building our security financially, career, and home, and emotionally with other people. So this whole security axis is very lit up. By week 4, Venus is 23, Sun is 21, Mars is 21. Can you guys just see with me how big this is that Venus, Mars, and Sun have stayed conjunct tightly for an entire zodiac season, pretty much throughout Capricorn? They've been tightening and traveling together. This is a unique Capricorn season for relationships, for desires, for our values, for all of that, for anything Venus and Mars. This is a really goal-oriented, get clear about what you want to achieve, what your standards are, all of that. That's what's happening. Big picture stuff, I'm sure Capricorn rules government. I'm sure the government and who they're playing with and how they're playing with people and who they're doing business with to forward their goals and what they're communicating and how we're going to continue doing business and growing our forward range. Uh, that'll all get in the mix of what things are happening on a bigger scale during that this month, January, Capricorn time. We can see the opposition to Jupiter is full now. So that these 20s numbers are right opposite Jupiter hanging out at 20. And so it is a culmination around beginning to mid January. Um, it should be a fruitful, big time. I mean, that if having a large time with people, big situations with relationships, big changes, big goals, big joinings, just big everything. It can be, big beginnings, big endings, big celebrations, big culminations, big joiners, big mergers, all the things that are relationships, goals, getting ahead, advancing, growing, securing, big. Um, and these 20s numbers are now starting towards a trine with Uranus. Uranus is 27. So they're starting to get in line. And this is saying that our relationships are starting as traditional and as much as our goals may be structured and standardized and, on the same page. There's a certain openness and eclectic, unusual, spontaneity. All of that is supportive, as is this Saturn and Neptune stuff. So the relationships that were starting to culminate as they pass over this opposition to Jupiter, what's popping out on the other side looks to be relationships that are highly advanced, progressive, freedom oriented, liberating, etc. It's like we're getting in the zone with people that are about relating on the same desire wavelength as us. That looks like part of that picture. And then as you see Mercury at 15, Mercury is starting to join this conjunction. So our thinking and our talking and communicating is just amping up on top of this desire nature. We have been experientially experimenting with how we are interacting with other people and kind of showing our identity about who we are and what we want, who we are with. There's going to be more about communicating it and articulating it, and just navigating the communicative nuances the closer that Mercury gets to joining in with that. Week 5, this is January 18th. Venus has crossed over into Aquarius and is starting to conjunct Pluto. And as we track, we see Venus is 2, Sun is 29, Mars is 27, and Mercury is 27. They're all within 5 degrees. That puddle is still all one big conjunct stellium that says all of your personal stuff together. And look at that. The moon on January 18th, the moon is there too. Moon, Sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, all in 5 degrees. Your whole personal life, all your personal planets, all the you parts are going to really be tuned in at the end of Capricorn about what your goals are, what you want to achieve, all of that, this Capricorn vibe, getting ready to transform into Aquarius. So it's really about getting the relationships that have the goals that are on the same page all together and in communication towards collective advancements, towards collaborating, networking, everything that's coming through Aquarius. And there's this also trine Uranus, sextile Saturn, Neptune. It's just really these relationships and this new direction looks very open to freedom, open to structure. And it's open and ambitious. It's a great balance. It looks very well supported here as this season is closing. Um, and it actually closes the next day on the 19th. And it exactly to get the last moment, 29:59 degrees Capricorn for the sun will be at 8:44 p.m. on January 19th. So that's the moment before we go into Aquarius. And what you want to see is that that next day, Venus and Pluto are conjunct. Sun is going to conjunct it, then Mars, Mercury. Everything's got to cross over Pluto. And we'll talk about that more next season. But all of our relationship goals and desires, they're going to get really intense the closer we get to Pluto. And it's going to create some really intense merging situations, some real getting into bed and getting into business together with people in a unique way progressively. And then Pluto has the effect of death and rebirth. And so that does mean we may see some of these relationships or desires or values change suddenly once they get so close up to this flame of inspiration. And so we'll see that as we get into Aquarius, what happens as they cross over Pluto. But here, as Capricorn season ends, Capricorn is really about getting clear about what your goals and aims are to achieve, what your desires and values are in that realm, and how they relate to the other people that you are working with or for and around. And so those relationships are going to get tighter and tighter in consideration as you choose to relate more and more with the people whose goals are aligned. And then from relating with the ones whose goals are aligned, we're going to start to see collaborations and networks start to happen more next season. So that is this Capricorn season in 2026, 2020, 25, 26. Um, and here at the end is where I would open this up for questions, comments, discussion. Anybody that has any questions about anything from the presentation, anything about Capricorn, or anything about astrology whatsoever, this monthly Astro Round Table will be a place and a time for free that anybody who tunes in can ask an astrologer and get insight about anything in this wide world of stellar language that is so much fun to discuss. But that is a wrap for Capricorn. And since nobody came today, because everybody's still all wrapped up in the holidays, I'm sure. I'm gonna go ahead and end this, and then I'll let things process, get it on YouTube, and then everybody can watch the replay and comment and keep the discussion going that way as we reach towards the next Astro Roundtable, which will be for Aquarius, and that will be planned for about 3:30 p.m. on January the 19th. So take care for now. Hope this was fun. Have a great rest of the day.